everyone, I'm Laura Gale Locke. On this edition of Local Loop, we'll be focusing on the importance of the Community Development Block Grant Program and how it benefits the community. We're very pleased to have Vice Mayor Janet Miller here with us today, Councilmember LaVonta Williams, and the City's Housing Director, Mary Kay Vaughn. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you very much.
Well, if you guys would just start off by explaining what the Community Development Block Program is.
Be happy to kick that off. Community Development Block Grant funds are federal funds, and they come to our community because we meet certain criteria that the federal government has established. That criteria includes, a number of people in poverty, the condition of our housing stock, and that sort of thing. And that's significant because those are the kinds of issues that Community Development Block Grant funds can be used to address. We've been very fortunate in this community over the years. We've been getting these funds since late 90s, I think. And we've really received a lot of funding. However, in recent history, the funds have been going down. And that's a real concern for all of us who know the benefit that the Community Development Block Grant funds can have on a community. So,
on average, about how much do we receive each year?
Well, let's see. Our high year most recently was about $3 million, and we're anticipating next year somewhere about $2.5 million.
Okay.
So it's going down.
Something to be aware of.
Yeah.
Maybe Vice Mayor, Councilmember, if you could talk a little bit about the difference you've seen that these funds have made in your districts.
Well, I have been watching the CDBG dollars for years as it pertains to the youth in our community, and especially the impact that it has on middle school youth, which is that very impressionable group of kids. It helps provide them an opportunity to stay after school, keeping themselves out of trouble and keeping them out of harm's way, providing them tutorial and the availability to be involved in field trips that perhaps they could not ordinarily be involved in. So from the youth aspect, I am very appreciative of the CDBG dollars. And also for the summer, when it helps with summer youth programs and hiring of youth. So the youth component of it is very, very important. But it also has been involved in our community by Streetscape, affording us the opportunity to increase the beautification of our streets down on, especially in the South Broadway area. So we have made sure that we have impacted that area. We are looking at the health and wellness of the community, and one of the other things that we did was install a small walking path in one of our parks, the McDonald Golf Park. It just afforded the community to stay a little closer to home as they walked around the golf course and throughout the area. They absolutely love that walking path, and they monitor it and keep it clean. So that's really, really important. And as we look at the forestry within our community, they have, the dollars have been able to be very beneficial toward that as well. And sidewalk replacement. Okay, community, we know about sidewalk replacement. So we've been able to designate specific dollars to go toward helping us to repair sidewalks that trees have pulled up and sometimes come to a V. So we've been very fortunate in our community. And don't forget the cleanups. The neighborhood cleanups are going on right now. So I'm sure that we all realize that those dollars also are at risk.
Well, District 6 has been the beneficiary of a number of CDBG dollars in the allocations, and we've done a number of major projects, including most recently the renovation of the La Familia Senior and Community Center, which was a building that was in much need of renovation, and so that building serves a very important part of our community, and we were glad to get that repair done. We've also partnered with the United Methodist Open Door in order to contribute to the Homeless Resource and Referral Center, which is a brand new center down at 2nd and Topeka, and we were very glad to make an investment of our dollars in there. And then we've also used those dollars in some parks to do lighting and field restoration and that kind of thing for our kids. So the projects are numerous that these dollars support, and it's too bad that we're facing a reduction of those dollars. It's going to hurt
tremendously.
How soon will we know how much of a reduction we might see? And
Well, we actually know the figures for our year starts in July.
Okay.
So we know the figures for July 1, 2012 through June 30, 2013. And because we, have known that for several weeks, we've had to make plans to reduce some of the activities that we would, normally have liked to increase, actually. But I think that even with that, the community that we support really understands our plight, and some of our partners, in fact, we'll be hearing from, I think, some of them today, certainly understand that we're going to make our best effort, and if we put what we have with what they're able to generate, then we can continue to make a difference.
You guys mentioned a variety of needs. It seems like there's some flexibility then with how these dollars are spent.
There is maximum flexibility, and that's one of the beauties of the program. You've heard from the council members how we've done infrastructure projects, sidewalks, and building repair. We also provide funding for children's activities. We provide funding for victims of domestic violence. Back on the infrastructure side, we do home repair, we do paint programs. I mean, there's just a wide variety, and that's why we love this program so much. One other program I might mention is the neighborhood assistance. As we all know, there are 4 neighborhood city halls, and they are staffed with very knowledgeable and dynamic young women and all women. Well, he doesn't have a
No, he doesn't have a no.
So they're all women. What can I say? But exactly. But we also are able to fund their salaries. And so, like I said, it's just really a wide variety of ways that we can use these funds, and we really, really need to keep them coming into the community.
Take me through the process of how you guys determine where the funds will go.
Well, the community is actually a big part of that process. Over the years, we have kind of done the same things over and over again. And so about 3 years ago, we started going out to the community and saying, what are your priorities? What would you like to see us do? And based on that sort of feedback, we have modified our programs. For instance, one of the things that we're introducing this year is crime prevention. That has not been a major focus over the past several years, but that's what the community said that they wanted to see. And so we're asking our community partners to provide crime prevention activities in association with the after-school programs in that middle school age, which is really a pivotal age. Our police department certainly has pointed that out to us. So it's really important for us to know what the community sees as valuable and priorities, especially when you think about funds being cut.
Have you both of you received much feedback from your constituents about what they'd like to see?
Well, the sidewalk has been a huge a program for those that cannot afford to have an increase in property tax, and so to be able to apply it there is tremendous. Another area that we're looking at is lighting, and that goes in with crime prevention, because we have certain parts of our community that, although the lights may be strategically placed, they're still pretty dark in some of the areas of that community. So we have some community who is saying, can you look into the lighting situation? And those are some of the things that we're going to do. And I will tell you that one of the committees that I sit on when I go to the National League of Cities is Community and Economic Development. And in that organization, we act as a policymakers to make sure that we are trying to look at the deficit and what it could bring to our community. So we are huge advocates of the CDBG dollars, and last year that was pretty much our focus was to focus just on those dollars. So as we go to Washington, we visit with our congressmen and our congresswomen and our senators in order to let them know what a deficit would mean in our community and how this is leveraging and how we leverage it in our communities, and what it means to us to have the CDBG dollars there. So we, as Community and Economic Development Committee, spend many hours looking at what we need to do.
How helpful have those talks been?
The talks have been very helpful. As soon as I hear something, I email Mary Kay back and I'm asking, okay, have we done this or have we done that? So we get to hear things from the top, and they give us information to take forward as we sit in that committee meeting. We know that the next day we must talk to our committee people, and we must talk to our Congress people about those Jeopardy dollars. So. This committee has been very good to work with. Information comes in on a regular basis, and we appreciate that.
Well, we're glad to have you on there.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor, what kind of feedback have you received?
I think folks in District 6 are very appreciative of the CDBG dollars. Certainly, I receive more requests than dollars that are available, and that's always very difficult because I never hear of a project that's not worthy of the dollars, and so trying to make decisions about those is difficult. But fortunately, we do have a number of really good community partners, some of which we'll hear from today, who help fill in those gaps and who provide resources in areas where we may not have the expertise, but we have some dollars and they have the expertise and a few dollars, and together we can put together programs and services that do serve the community. So we're glad that Councilmember Williams continues to help fight for those dollars, and we'll continue trying to allocate them the best we can.
Are there any other programs that you guys wanted to highlight that you'll put dollars towards?
Well, one thing I mentioned just briefly, and I want to come back to, and that's the home repair program. That is so important because we prioritize in that program homeowners, and we prioritize homes that are within the core of the city. Usually they're older homes, they're owned by people who are on fixed incomes, and without our assistance they would not be able to maintain their homes. I mean, very basic repairs: plumbing, roofing, windows, sidewalks.
Basic, but yet critical to being able to live in the homes.
Exactly. Without our assistance they wouldn't be able to, and so we're just always very excited when we're able to assist, especially seniors, with those programs. So I just don't want to forget about home repair.
And I think for District 1, the neighborhood cleanups are crucial for them. That's that once a year opportunity to get rid of bulky waste. Bulky waste that if it were not for the neighborhood cleanups, you would possibly see more of on our streets and on our curbs. So for that community, the District 1 community, and I'm sure for the city, the neighborhood cleanups are very, very important, and it takes quite a bit. And the programs that help us with home repair are just something that's desperately needed. So
I'm sure they make a tremendous difference.
Yes, they do.
Is there a place where people can go to see a list of all of the projects that will receive funding and learn more about them?
Certainly on our website, that's www.wichita.gov, and then housing. You can see reports of what we have done in the past. Also coming up on May 1st, we'll have the council will approve next year's funding.
Okay.
So they'll be able to follow that as well.
Is there anything either of you would like to add about that?
I think we just want to make sure the dollars remain.
Right.
We could even take some new ones.
Yeah. Ditto.
Well, thank you all for being here and explaining more about this. It's been very interesting, and it sounds like these funds are truly making a big impact on a lot of people's lives in a lot of different ways.
We believe so.
I think we need to tell people to stay tuned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there are some interesting things that are coming up with CDBG dollars.
Yes.
So stay tuned.
That's a good tease. We'll have to bring you back in for another show.
That'll be fun.
All right. Thank you guys for being here.
Absolutely.
Our next guest is Janet Johnson. She is a neighborhood assistant in District 3, City Council District 3. Thanks for being here, Janet.
Thank you.
Mary Kay, before we talk about how Janet helps facilitate the use of the CDBG dollars, will you take us through the timeline and explain exactly how all that works?
Absolutely. The federal government provides CDBG dollars to us, and our fiscal year starts July and ends in June. So we're really coming up on the end of our fiscal year 11 year, which means that many of the programs that we fund are kind of running low on funding, and but we're going to be ready to start fresh starting July 1st. Now, I do need to say that funding has been reduced over the past several years. The year that we're in right now, our reduction was 16%. That's $500,000 that we lost, and we had to make some pretty tough decisions. Going into next year, we won't lose quite as much, but we're still adjusting to that really big loss. And the significance of that is these funds are supposed to help low to moderate income people. poor people, if you will. And certainly it hurts more to have that kind of funding cut than probably any other kind, because these are people who depend on it, who need that kind of assistance. Our community has seen a lot of unemployment. Layoffs are being announced, almost every week. And these are the funds that help people kind of bridge the gap until they can get back on their feet. What I really like about CDBG is that it really does get its feet out in the community. And one of the best examples of that is our neighborhood city halls, where Janet holds fort at the Colvin Center.
Absolutely.
And does a fabulous job. She's got 3 others who do this at the other neighborhood city halls. But Janet, we asked to join us today because of some of the kind of unique challenges that she faces.
And all of us as neighborhood assistants feel very honored to be serving our community in this capacity. We are fortunate in that we get to see these dollars at work, and the difference that it can actually make in an individual's life. And for example, at all of our neighborhood city halls, we offer some basic services such as free computer use, free faxing, free copying. We have a telephone available, which you might not think that's a big deal, but for our low-income families, they typically operate on minutes on phones, and by the end of the month, they can be running pretty short. And so that's a big thing when people are trying to schedule appointments and look for jobs and that kind of thing. I don't know if I mentioned, we have a free notary service, and then we run any number of special programs. We just wrapped up the free tax service, and we did that for 3 months. We had volunteers that provided people free tax service for low income and elderly. Right before that, we had Operation Holiday. We're getting ready in Plainview to have the Mexican consulate come in, and they're going to be providing some forms of identification. Has nothing to do with immigration, but it will be providing identification, those sorts of things that can be very helpful in establishing bank accounts for law enforcement and making identifications and that sort of thing. And like I said before, we're really blessed in that we are enabled by the city to touch people's lives. And I'd like to share one of our success stories, if you don't mind. We have a little gal out in Plainview that we are so proud of. She was a single mom, is a single mom, and she was living up on the north side. And she shared with us that she had made some bad choices in her life, and she was anxious to do something different. So, they always talk about you got to change playmates and playgrounds. So she did that, and she moved down to Plainview and got connected with us because her son went to school at Colvin Elementary. And as Mary Kay mentioned, we have lots and lots of community partners, and boy, do we take advantage of them. So with this young lady, she got connected with the TRIO program at WSU, which helps people finish their high school education. And every single day, not this winter, but the winter before, the one that was so cold and horrible, every day she would walk her son from the area of Hillside and Pawnee all the way over to Colvin Elementary. And she would drop him off, and then she would come in the center and work on her homework all day, every day. And she did that every day, no matter how cold it was, no matter what it was like, she was there doing her homework. When tax time came, she got her refund, and she said, "Miss Janet, I want to get a car." And I just happened to know a trustworthy person, and she was able to purchase a car, but pay for it straight out. Wow. So she wasn't on the tote the note thing. She got her a car, she completed her degree, she found a job. I should mention, prior to that, she had some legal things that she wanted to get cleared up. I got a hold of our municipal court administrator. He pointed us in the right direction. She got some minor things expunged. She got a job, and she is now a fully functioning, contributing member of society. and she is so proud of herself. And now we're moving her on, and she's working with Habitat for Humanity, and they are teaching her how to manage her money and clean up her credit. And so hopefully someday soon she'll be a homeowner. So those are the kinds of things. That's how CDBG impacts people on a personal level. I know we heard earlier from Councilmember Williams on how important it is that the money helps with middle school programs. And I was at Jardine Middle School this morning, and in the Plainview neighborhood, we have about 4,300 residents. Of those, 42% of those residents are under the age of 19.
My gosh.
And we have very few programs for youth in that neighborhood. I mean, we don't have a Y or a Boys and Girls Club. One of the very few things, one of the only things we have is the PAC program, which is the Plainview Activity Camp for Kids that is funded by CSBG dollars and in part by CDBG. And that is all we have for those kids. And it was really interesting to me today to listen to those children. In most neighborhoods, kids really look forward to summer break because they're going to be doing fun things and they get to be away from school. In low-income neighborhoods, children don't like long breaks. Because they're home alone often, there's often not enough food, there's no entertainment, oftentimes there are no utilities, so it's either hot or like over Christmas break, it's too cold. And so our children enjoy coming to school, and they don't look forward to summer, but they are looking forward to the PAC camp. And a lot of our children feel very afraid in their own neighborhood, and that's something that we're working on changing, and I'm really thrilled to hear about crime prevention dollars being used as well. When I finished up, the kids were real cute, and they handed me all these cards with questions, and they ask a lot of questions about different crime and things like that. But one little girl at the very end handed me a card, and I picked it up, and it almost brought me to tears because it said, "Do you think there's any hope for our community?"
From a child, gosh.
Yeah. And you know, CDBG offers some hope. Those funds allow us to bring programming that can offer hope to these families. 1/3 of the families in Plainview live on $15,000 a year or less, and that's according to the 2010 census. That's not very much money. 1/3 of the families.
Right.
So.
Well, I think Janet's made the perfect case for CDBG. We need to send her to Washington to make sure that we get additional funding, because that is what it's all about. It's the young lady that she mentioned,
Yeah.
you know, that was depending on everybody for everything, is now independent and really making major changes. That's exactly what it's about.
Well, I'm glad you shared those stories, because that is reality for some people, and I know there's other of us who have more blessings and take certain things for granted, and to hear those stories, it really does illustrate the need.
Yes, it does.
And it works. It works.
And I think Janet, you know, exemplifies the neighborhood assistant, and why I'm really glad that we're able to provide funding for them, because she's resourceful, she's passionate, as they all are. They have connections with people. I mean, she had a connection with somebody about a car. I mean, you know,
a trustworthy person.
Right.
Even better.
But I mean, so and that's really kind of what's so special about neighborhood assistance in that program, and why, again, I'm glad that they are out in the community where they can reach out and touch people.
Absolutely. Well, Janet, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
It's been very enlightening to hear your stories. And now we'd like to introduce Stacy Mann. She is the Executive Director of the YWCA. Stacy, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, first, just tell me a little bit about the YWCA.
The YWCA operates the Women's Crisis Center, which is a comprehensive domestic violence program for victims of domestic violence and their family. We run a shelter program. We have 24 beds, and we also do outreach services, court advocacy, support groups, and community education on domestic violence, its effects, and how to be helpful to those folks who may be victims in someone's life.
And you're here today to talk about how some of these CDBG dollars have impacted your organization.
Yes, and we are incredibly grateful for CDBG. CDBG fund is one of our grant funding sources, but it's a significant grant funding source for us. And really, it supports the services of our shelter. We sheltered last year 187 women and children in our shelter, and these dollars support some staff time. They provide food for the shelter, general maintenance, operating costs. Without the dollars that we receive from CDBG, we would not be able to serve the number of folks that we do. So it is critical not only for our service provision, but more importantly, it's critical to meet those immediate needs of victims of domestic violence who really oftentimes are fleeing for their lives.
I think she just said it right there. I was going to ask you, what made you pick YWCA, but I think she probably explained it about as well as she could.
Absolutely. I think if we look back over the past several months and maybe a couple of years, the police department has been reporting that there is an increase in the incidence of domestic violence. And certainly there are a lot of issues associated with that, but one of the ones that we care quite a lot about in terms of CDBG is making sure that the victims are safe, while they work through whatever else is going on. And so we actually have two service providers in our community, the YWCA being one, Catholic Charities being the other, who receive funding to help shelter and provide services to victims of domestic violence so that they can, put their lives back together and reach some stability that is violence-free. And they do a fabulous job at that. We're really proud to have the Y as a partner.
We're grateful. And those numbers have definitely increased. Law enforcement has seen an increase, a substantial increase in the number of reports. In 2011, we experienced at least 10, if not 11, domestic violence-related homicides in Wichita, which is the highest we've had in the last 2 years and was considerably higher than anyone hopes or would anticipate. And in working in collaboration with the other service provider, Catholic Charities Harbor House, that does domestic violence programming, we know that we are unable to shelter the number of victims that are requesting service because we are full so often. So we on average turn around 20 to 30 women away from shelter a month because we are unable to shelter them due to how full we are. And in conversation with Catholic Charities Harbor House, they're in a very similar situation. So we know our services are desperately in need, and that it really is very literally life and death for many of the survivors that we're working with.
And I'm sure some of these women probably feel like they don't have any other place to turn other than to you guys for your help.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love our shelter. I think we provide great services. I've worked in domestic violence for 17 years, and I will tell you that I wouldn't want to have to go to shelter. Folks will expend all resources before they have to come to shelter, before they actually get there. And so they really are coming as a last resort. And we want to make sure that it is as comfortable for them as it is able to be, that we are reducing the trauma that they're experiencing so they're able to heal and move on in their lives. And the CDB dollars are essential in that ability to provide some comforts of home and the food and the necessary things that they receive just to get a little bit of stability.
If somebody out there is watching this and maybe wants to do something to help, is there a way that they can?
Absolutely. We are always looking for volunteers. If folks want to donate, they can contact the YW at our administrative office, which is 263-7501, and get a hold of us and let us know if they're interested in volunteer opportunities, donating, doing a day of work for us, anything like that. We would be happy to have them come and help us.
All right, anything else you wanted to add?
No, I appreciate so much the fact that we've got great partners. They spend the money wisely. We don't have problems with their reports or anything, which is of course another part of my job, and I just really appreciate all that they do.
All right, Stacey, thank you for being here.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
La Familia has also been a recipient of the CDBG dollars, and so we'd like to bring in Dr. Carla Lee. She is the Vice President of the Board of Directors, and also Chris Alonzo. She is the Executive Director of La Familia. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for inviting us.
Well, for anybody out there who isn't aware, why don't you go ahead and explain what your organization does?
Okay, La Familia is a service provider to anyone in the community that walks through our door, and that's what I indicate to my staff. You know, we welcome anyone for whatever reason they come, basic needs, whether it be the nutrition that we provide, the health and wellness screening that we provide, the American Red Cross Good Neighbor Nutrition Program that we provide on a weekly basis at noon, and just a wealth of activities and just a social gathering place, a good healthy location for anyone, and you know, that's what we do.
So anything you'd like to add?
The services there, I think, serve the whole city in some ways. We're located at 841 West 21st Street, near the Amadon Street, Twin Lakes, what was known as Twin Lakes. So it's a beautiful area. We kind of think of ourselves as the other side of 21st for the Nomar Center, with this grant that we received from you all to renovate our setting. The setting now is much more pleasing for anyone that wants to come. We have, in addition to the basic service that we provide for City of County Aging, we have youth groups now who ask to use the parking lots for some of their affairs and dancing and exercise, which has been a neat addition.
You're maximizing the use of that property,
Yes,
it sounds like.
yeah.
Mary Kay, you want to talk a little bit about why you chose to support La Familia?
Absolutely. First of all, the things that they just described, I mean, they're downplaying it. That program just provides such a welcoming atmosphere and environment for the community. As Chris said, for anybody who comes in, not just limited by geography. I've been there. They've got a pool table. People were, enjoying recreation. They have the meal program, so they get a nutritious meal, and just the conversation. I don't know if all of their programs, well, she just said their programs do serve youth as well, but for seniors, a lot of times seniors are isolated.
Right.
They stay in their homes. They don't really have a lot of contact. This provides such a beautiful, beautiful setting for them to come together to share a meal, to play cards or whatever, whatever they might want to do. We were approached about this project by Vice Mayor Miller, who was very concerned about the condition of the facility. I think it had just, over the years, because it was used so much that, just kind of the wear and tear started to show up, and we were able to identify community development block grant money. Again, this is one of the many uses of it.
Right.
And I'm telling you, that place is beautiful. It is just lovely. Our Public Works Department oversaw the construction, so I have to give them some props as well.
Yes.
But it's just they've done a beautiful job. And again, when I was there, when they had the big open house, the citizens who were there, who used the facility, were just as happy as could be. I mean, you could just tell that they just were pleased with the fact that they were getting that kind of
The city did a wonderful job on the aesthetics and the ambience, and we're located in Woodland Park, which has also gone through a renovation. So it really was a nice marriage between the two projects, because we have a new QPO, huge, where people can eat outside and sidewalks in a beautiful park. And the center now sits there beautifully with decor on the outside. The color of the painting is gorgeous, and inside is a total remake. I mean, we have a new kitchen, larger, for serving the meals. We have a storage cupboard area with freezer for storing extra food, which is really helpful. All the seats in the dining room have been refurbished. All the walls have been painted. The bathroom in particular really needed redoing, and then the social room where the playing's going on the pool tables is well done. The other thing I guess I would like to share in the activities, and Chris Alonzo's been responsible for this, is we do a lot of referrals. So in addition to our concrete activities that we do, food and physical exercise and nutrition classes and the social activities and the crafts, we also perform referral services. So if people need a job referral or help with taxes or legal counseling or social needs, we provide referral via the executive director and her assistant 2 recommended areas for people, and we run a lot of referrals every month, people that need help.
That's good. I think what's really exciting about that is people feel comfortable in coming to you, knowing that you may not be able to meet that need, but you have the resource. You can get them to the resources.
That's right.
So that's as important as having the resources.
Exactly.
Connecting people with
Yeah,
them.
we do have, yes, exactly. We have a wealth of information. Myself growing up here, as well as my assistant, Terry Gutierrez, in the community. And so we're both, avid about making sure people get what they need. There's so many needs out there, and if we can be that bridge or that connector, that icebreaker for them, pick up the phone and make that call, for us that may seem easy. I won't say that, but for a lot of people, it's so appreciative, and they are. They're grateful for anything that we can do. So,
and we'd want to say thank you to the Sedgwick County Aging, because that's our key grant that supports the center for the senior center. But we also have partnered with other individuals to provide services along the way. Families Together, iPad communication grant recently, Bloom grants through the WIN Association for signage. And so we've partnered with others to bring in other programs or assistance there. And sometimes we're even called by groups, which we appreciate, that want to address the culture for our area and want to team up with us. So we would welcome that. We have a donation program if people are interested in helping us, and they can send that to the 841 West 21st Street. 67203, or they can call the center 267-1700. We have a lot of private donors that have been major contributors over the last 10 years. I mean, major contributors. So it's been we're very grateful to those individuals and businesses.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I was thinking, when I'm talking about what a lovely facility this is and everything, and I don't want anybody to think that we're just using this federal money to turn buildings into Taj Mahals or anything.
That's a good point.
But it's just a beautiful facility, and it's a wonderful place for people to come. And it wasn't just CDBG money. There were private donors, and that's the other beauty of this, is that we can leverage funding. Some of those donors were present, at the kickoff, and they were recognized, and that's just really important. That's what a community is supposed to do.
Exactly. And as a nonprofit, that's much needed. So we're very appreciative of the CDBG grant that we received, and thank you very much, Mary Kay, for that, because the costs of we just needed an energy efficient facility, very, very much so. So thank goodness our board and myself went to you to inquire if we could be a part of the grant, and thank goodness we were able to do that. And I welcome you back. Welcome you to please come visit our center.
I'll be back.
Okay, good. We appreciate that, and so you're more than welcome, and the community to come out, please.
On average, how many people would you say you serve in a year?
In a year, that's approximately 12,000 come through our door.
That's a huge number.
It's a very huge number.
Yeah.
And then we run about 2,000 referrals.
Yeah. So our main grant, like Dr. Lee said, with Sedgwick County Department on Aging, as well as we're a partner with K-State Extension Office, where I'm on the board there, and try to incorporate all the wealth that they provide to the community. And so we have some gardening in our patio area, so we provide that, which is great. I took a class over there for the horticultural therapy aspect of things, and it's just and these days, it's much needed for a lot of people to provide as much as you can, as a center can. I'm an educator by study, so therefore my heart is with the education of things like the health and nutrition aspect of for people. And that's why I try to provide as much health classes as we can. Our wellness screening clinic provides free blood sugar checks. So that's a cost to us that we provide because it's needed.
Much needed.
If you didn't have the CDBG dollars, how big of an impact would that have?
It was having a major impact, and that's why we're so thankful. The building was actually an old swimming building next to a swimming pool, and the pool was covered up and has been made into a beautiful patio that people can go into, but the building was in pretty disrepair. I mean, we were concerned even about safety, the bathrooms, the doors, the entrances, so we're very, very thankful, Mary Kay, because a safe building's crucial, especially when you're doing food and health services.
Well, that's a good point. I know the city was glad to be a part of the renovations.
Yes, and I'd like to at this point commend the city Public Works Department for their fantastic job of that they did. The workers, as well as their work, is very commendable, and we truly appreciate it.
Yeah, they did a great job.
They did
a great job.
Yes.
Well, thank you, ladies, for all being here. It's been really interesting and enlightening to hear about these great projects.
And again, Mary Kay, we truly appreciate your approving.
I didn't approve
well, part of the approval process. Part of the approval process, and anyone else, if you could share that.
I'll be happy to do that.
A home is a home, and you can grow where you're planted, but we needed that home.
Absolutely.
That's right.
We were glad to be a part of it.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All right, well, thank you for being here, and thank you for watching this edition of Local Loop. We'll leave you with our website so you can check out all of the great projects that are funded by CDBG dollars. Thanks for watching.